radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? How you doing? Today is Tuesday, February 26th, 2019. 57 days into the new year, just 308 days left. As always, we are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planets. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? All right. Tonight, Barbara Lamb joins us for the very first time. I know, before you go, okay, why did it take this long? I get it. But that's not what is important. What is important is that she is here tonight. Barbara Lamb. Unbelievable. Tomorrow night, we have a very special surprise guest. Just be patient. I love surprises. I do. I love surprises. And that'll be tomorrow night. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. And there you go. The new call-in number, if you don't have that written down, you should. 747-228-2051. There you go. Let's jump straight to it. You can follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. Twitter's where it's at. Twitter, of course, we have Facebook and we have YouTube, but then there is Twitter, and Twitter is where I hang out. I do. I gotta continue to ride that Facebook bear, man. I gotta do it. Just too big. Same thing with YouTube, just too big. So you just gotta keep doing it. But Twitter is where I hang out. I like Twitter. Twitter's cool. And, I know some people out there get, shadow banned, thrown in Twitter jail for stepping out of bounds. And I understand all of that. Just play within the rules. I play within the rules, I guess, because I've had zero issues with Twitter. Yeah, so I just do my thing and behave, and it's all good. But it enables me to communicate with all of you, and I get to post stuff and pictures. Deuce D has just tweeted. See, that's why I like Twitter. It just pops up real time. How you doing? See, that's what I'm saying. Right there. How you doing? How you doing, Deuce? How you doing, Deuce? All right, so follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Any questions or comments during the show? Hashtag F2BQ on Twitter. The Sandbox is hashtag F2B. You can also email throughout the show, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. People still use email. They do. They really do. They do. Frankie Four Fingers already in the house. He's got, look at that. That's a computer rig right there. If you've got all of that on one screen, he's got the bunker cam. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Twitter feeds up. That's a man that is connected. Connected. You know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to let you know now. And I'm doing this so Rita can hear this live on the air. That way I don't have to say it to her or ask her if I can do it in person. See, if I do it on the air, then it softens the blow, right? I can do that and get away with it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get all curved screens. These are getting too small for me, and I've just got to get. So what I'm thinking about, I was going to get 3 screens, but I'm not. I'm going to get 2 screens. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get 2 large curved screens. That's what I'm going to do. That's right. 2 big ones, too. I think I'm going to go, I don't know, 26, 28. I think 2 of those. That's almost 3 feet, so that would be 6 feet of screens curved. Yeah, I'm down for that. And that's my next move. That's my next move. That's my next move. It's either that or another guitar, and I have to make a choice. So I'm going with the curved screens. Curved screen. Oh, if I do it, but there'll be a split in the middle. Maybe I do have to go with 3, Rita. I need 1. Oh, man. I thought 2 would be easier to get. 3 is tough, but I am set up for 3 because of my monitor bar that I have here. I've got the 3 monitors going across, so maybe I should just get 3 curved ones and just pop, 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 and just do that. Well, Rita, 2 was an idea, but you know what? I can't have a split here in the middle. No, I got to have 1 curved and then 2 curved on the wings. Yeah. All right. But that's my next move. And it's going to be very, very soon. All right. Breaking news. Let's get to that right now. Former Trump attorney Michael Cohen has been disbarred in New York. That was announced today. Disbarred, that's it. Well, he's going to prison anyway. Well, you can be a prison attorney. Well, he can't now. I wonder if he can practice law in other states. You know, a lot of attorneys do that, right? I wonder if he's going to be disbarred across the country. Because what if he does? I guess he's doing federal time. And what if he? Okay, so if he's got to go to prison in New York, that answers that idea. But yeah, interesting question. A guy like Michael Cohen, right? A crooked attorney. That guy's got a lot of jail business in front of him, man. He's gonna be eating free. He's gonna get all the action he wants at the commissary. Think about that. A crooked attorney in prison that everybody knows. You're in. Michael, it's going to be smooth. All right. Anyway. Since the scorching hot summer of 2006, almost 3,000 archaeological artifacts have been showing up in the melting ice in Uppland in northern Norway. Among them, an Iron Age tunic, Iron Age, a 1,500-year-old arrow, and a 3,400-year-old shoe. 3,000 artifacts so far. And what's incredible about it is instead of having to dig in the dirt like traditional archaeologists, Uppland's archaeologists simply walk around. That's all they do. They walk around and look at their feet. That's all they do because they're tripping over everything. It's right there. Ice thaws, artifacts are on the surface. They just go out and have a leisurely stroll, and they're doing their job. And it's all going down right now in Opland, northern Norway. The glaciers there are just melting. They're disappearing. All right, I announced last week I will do it again right now. Surfer Music, the Surfer Music streaming app, is available free for download. All right, now all you have to do is click on the Surfer app banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. Or you can go to Surfer, SURFR.FM, and it's a free download right there. All you do is just download it. You don't have to register. You don't do anything. You just download it, go straight to your phone. You are immediately using the app. You're not going to get contacted. You're not going to be sold anything. You're not going to give anybody your email, nothing. And everything is unlimited. Everything is open, done, ready to go. All of your favorite music categories, all of your favorite music, everything is streaming right now in crystal clear audio on the Surfer streaming app. You've got to check it out. It's my app of choice, and it's incredible. It is, and I didn't want to be limited. I didn't want any of that stuff. It's all right there, and I really want it to be free. Our music should be free. So there you go, at least streaming. Unless you want to purchase it, well, it's a whole other thing. But listening to it, like the radio riding down the road, you know what I'm saying? Check it out. Surfer Music streaming app right now at Surfer, SURFR.FM. Simple. All right. Coming up next, our next big event for us is the Contact in the Desert. May 31st through June 3rd in Indian Wells, Palm Springs, California at the Renaissance Indian Wells Resort and Spa. Tickets and info right now at contactinthedesert.com. Right after that is our 2019 Soul Tech Conference. It's over the July 4th weekend at the Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. You can sign up for tickets and info right now at soultechgathering.com. All right. Don't forget, subscribe to our podcast. It is just $2 a month. Click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. And you can also become an official Fadernaut. Just go to our membership section. It's simple. Click on it. You've got all the memberships that you would need or want. They're all right there. You can go from free to full on, right? All the way to the Game Changer. And with the Game Changer, it's a 1-year subscription. You're going to get an autographed T-shirt, autographed hat. You're going to get all of the downloads you can handle. MP3 commercial free. MP3 commercial free. All premium audio, optimized, equalized, compressed. It's wonderful. You can do everything. And you get a private email to me. And you get the bunker cam. You get everything. Okay? Right there in the membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Don't forget to visit all of our sponsors here. Click on their banners. River Moon Coffee, Ancient Life Oil, right? Life Change Tea. Everything is right there. Numana Food Storage. Go and visit all of our sponsors. It's how we keep our situation alive here, including our newest Surfer.fm and Hoffman's Optics. You've got to get your night vision. All right, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Michael Bolton. Michael Bolton today is 65. You know what's funny? I don't even know one Michael Bolton song, but I always think every time Michael Bolton, I think of Office Space. And so there's that funny scene in Office Space. Oh, you're Michael Bolton? I'm not the Michael. You're not? Okay, there's that. Then there's the interview when everybody's doing the layoffs. And homeboy goes, so what's your favorite song? And he goes, all of them. Exactly. That's where I'm coming from. All right, our dead guy's birthday today is Johnny Cash. 1932 to 2003, died at the age of 71. And, of course, you've got Ring of Fire, I Walk the Line, A Boy Named Sue, Folsom Prison Blues, and one of his last, if not his greatest, Rusty Cage. And I know he's listening right now. Happy birthday, Johnny Cash. On this day in history, 1949. That's right, I always say it too. It went down. Well, it did. From Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, Texas, the Lucky Lady II, a B-50 Superfortress, takes off on the first non-stop round-the-world flight on this day in 1949. And if you just stop and think about that, the Wright brothers, 1903, flew for about 50 feet, but they flew, 1903, whatever it was, 100 feet, but they got off the ground, right? Motorized, so they flew. And just 45 years later, 45 years, they're flying around the world nonstop. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. I don't know what the technical leap was, but we had it all over the place, and it just happened so fast. In that little 4-decade window, from electricity, from gas lamps, all the way to nuclear bombs and jet planes in 4 decades. That's nuts. That's nuts to me. Fader fact, and this is vetted, IKEA's catalog is one of the most published books in the world and as widely circulated as the Bible and the Quran. And that is your Fader fact. Tonight, Barbara Lamb joins us for the very first time, and tomorrow night is a very special surprise guest. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long, and we'll do all of that on Thursday. Really looking forward to hanging out with all of you. And so before I get to Karen, that's a great picture of Johnny Cash right there. That's what I'm talking about. That's cool. It's a GIF, actually. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, B-50. No, it's a B-52. I said B-50. 50. That's a Stratofortress. I said Superfortress. All right, let me hit this River Moon coffee. Somebody asked me over the weekend. I did probably around, not that many. I did about a half a dozen interviews, podcasts, and live feeds and stuff like that over the weekend at the Conscious Life Expo. But once again, over the weekend, during one of those interviews, I get the question, right? Who is the one guest that I want to have on the show that I've never interviewed? Who's that one guest? And I know I get the question a lot, and I assume that most ask because they're wondering if it's somebody that I want to have on the show eventually that I haven't had on in the past. Okay. All right. That I get that. And although I've answered this question pretty much the same every time that I get it, and I get it a lot, I go with those that I wanted to interview but can't. Right? And my answer is the same every time. It's Lloyd Pye. And there's lots of great researchers out there that are no longer with us, and the list is, miles long. I get that, but Lloyd Pye is who I think of first, and for so many reasons. But I think he's funny, very smart, thinks outside of the box. Great conversationalist, and you know what? He was just an all-around great guy, a very cool guy. And I just know that we would have had the most amazing shows together. And so he's the one. He's the one. I think I could have just sat down with Lloyd and just, broke out a show anytime that we needed to do it. A lot like Jim Mars. Jim Mars was a very fun show, and John Anthony West, too, as well. always great shows. But, okay. And then I immediately follow that up with probably a little bit out of guilt because, again, equally cool is J. Allen Hynek. All right, and Lloyd passed away not that long ago, and I just missed that opportunity. But J. Allen Hynek has been away from us for a long time, but I would have loved to have interviewed him. And although that this is true, right? Those are the two cats, right? The reasons are obvious why I can't interview them or I won't, and it's because that they're no longer with us, and that makes it impossible. But as far as living today, well, okay, if I go down that road, it's Jacques Vallée. And Jacques, of course, first off, he's still with us, and I've talked to him many times about doing the show, and he's already said yes. We've just got to find the right time so I can relax about Jacques. Eventually, I know it will happen. Right? But then the other one, I mean, who's the other one? Well, she's with us tonight. It's Barbara Lamb. And I remember the first time that I met Barbara. She will never remember this. And it was about 10 years ago. And she was in the audience attending a MUFON presentation here in Los Angeles. I don't remember who was speaking at MUFON. But she was there. She was in the audience. And I was standing in the back of the room, and I noticed a crowd, about 10 or 15 people, clogging up the aisleway in between the rows of chairs, and people scooting over, whoever was sitting there, and getting to Barbara and shaking her hand. So I kind of stepped up and I looked and went, oh, it's Barbara Lamb. Oh, cool. She's just sitting in the crowd. She's just an attendee, but she's got this crowd around her. And I went, okay, all right, I'm going to do this. So I stand in line. I do. I stand in line. And eventually I worked my way up and I got my chance to say hello. I leaned over who was ever there and introduced myself, and she struck me as someone who was just so, honest. I don't know how else to say it. She's real. She's real cool, too, as well. But she's also real concerned. And when I was standing in line, waiting my turn for my opportunity to say hello, I'm also listening to what everybody else is saying to her and asking her questions, and they're telling her stories. And she was just very patient with everybody and was answering all these varied questions about regression or contact or abduction or past lives and all of these sightings that they've had. She was very nice, very pleasant. And I get up and she was so cool with me, and that's how she hit me. And I am very excited about having her on with us tonight. Barbara and I and Rita have talked for years about getting Barbara on the show, and it was just always one thing led to another. Barbara's winging it over to Europe, or she's researching crop circles somewhere. Things were just going on. And we just never got a chance to lock it down. And we talk often, by the way. But tonight is the night. And I'll say this. If you ever get a chance to meet Barbara, please just go up, introduce yourself, and be prepared for pleasantness and have a great conversation. But you also have to be careful of who you want to meet. So I'm giving you the recommendation for Barbara. But you've got to be careful who you want to meet, because sometimes they don't represent who you thought they were. And I have met some researchers out there that I have respected and read their books over the years and listened to them on radio and television. And then you go and meet them in person, kind of get to know them a little bit. And it's just like, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm not digging. I wish I hadn't met you. And that's the truth. You need to be careful because I am the same as anybody else. You don't meet these people and you hold them and, you just hold them up in their research and their stories and their experiences and this and that. And then you turn around and meet them and it's just awful. It's just awful. Barbara, I got lucky. We are all lucky because Barbara is exactly who you think she is. I mentioned last night on the show that I went out to lunch with Barbara. Nurse Nancy and I went out to lunch with Barbara. And it was, well, first off, it's what I was hoping and expecting, which was just a great conversation. She's just amazing. But when Barbara and I were talking, that was one thing. And Nancy decided to take over the lunch. And watching Barbara's response to Nancy on point just shifted gears and went straight there with Nancy. And then Nancy had a follow-up question and a follow-up question. And watching Barbara's eyes, they shifted. She was in focus, and she's concerned. She's really, really concerned. She's concerned about what's going on with this planet, with us, with ET. She is right there, and her research is second to none. And I don't think she will ever, ever take her foot off the gas. So tonight is a special night for me. And a lot like when I mentioned Eric Von Daniken yesterday about how hard this man works and how long he's been doing it, and certainly Linda and Stanton Friedman, they've been doing this for a very long time. Barbara is right there with all of them. She's been doing this for over 40 years. So with somebody like Barbara is on a show like this, you need to just pay attention. Pay attention and do that tonight. Barbara Lamb is our guest. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, that's right, we've got another very special surprise guest tomorrow night. We'll make that announcement tomorrow. Yeah, probably right before the show, too. That's when it's most fun. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. The new call-in number is 747-228-2051. I see all the calls coming in. I'm not taking calls right now. Need to relax. Enjoy the show. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back with tonight's guest, Barbara Lamb. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find Fast Start Diet on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code TALK to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, Fast Start will include their #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. This is Jimmy Church. And whatever your diet plans are, do what I did. Go to faststartdiet.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Jump in on the conversation over on Twitter in the sandbox, hashtag F2B. Of course, we have that, and we have our 2 chat rooms, one at Spreaker and one over at KGRA The Planet. Whatever you want to do, email is Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. You can do that too as well. Everything is live and up in front of me tonight. Our guest is Barbara Lamb. She is a licensed psychotherapist, a hypnotherapist, and a regression therapist who has studied ET DNA and the ET human hybrid phenomenon. Barbara has conducted over 2,600 regressions with 1,750 people who have experienced various kinds of encounters with extraterrestrial and interdimensional beings. As one of the leading experts in this field, Barbara has spent over 4 decades in studies, research, practice, and teaching. Barbara has co-authored 3 books, Crop Circles Revealed, which I have, Alien Experiences, and Meet the Hybrids. In 2016, Barbara received the Lifetime Achievement Award for Outstanding Achievement in the field of ufology from the International UFO Congress. She has an MS, an MFT, a CHT, received her BA from Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts, her MS degree from the University of Laverne right here in Southern California, her license as a marriage and family therapist in California, and her certification as a hypnotherapist from Hypnosis Motivation Institute. And I would like to welcome for the first time, I'm so excited, Barbara Lamb. Barbara, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm fine, and I'm very happy to be talking to you, Jimmy.
It's about time, Barbara. It's about time.
You know what? Yep. We've known each other for quite a few years, and so here we are.
And before we get started, Barbara, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. Okay?
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, here we go. Barbara, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. That's it. You ready?
We certainly will.
Absolutely. Now, see, this is the thing, and you're right. We've known each other for quite a while, and we've had the opportunity to hang out over the years and talk. But this is your first time on the show. So I get to ask all the fun questions in the beginning that you've answered a million times. But
that's all right.
Yeah, let's get all of that stuff out of the way because we have so much to discuss tonight. But for me, this is something that I've never discussed with you before.
Okay.
I look at you, Barbara, as everybody does. We admire you, but you've got such an honest aura about you, your eyes and the way you carry yourself and your voice. And then, so you see that, you read your books and the research, you see that, and then you're asking yourself, like, you just step back and go, how did Barbara ever get here? How did she get here? What happened? I mean, let's take me back to the beginning. What got you into this?
Well, it was such an interesting process, which I never, ever expected. I never would have dreamed that I'd be doing this kind of work. As you mentioned, I was educated back in Massachusetts, a very Ivy League kind of education. And, very traditional. And I was a pretty straight person in that sense. And eventually moved to California and started realizing, there are a lot of other aspects of life that are really interesting to explore that I had not heard of back east. And one thing led to another, and I became a licensed psychotherapist back in 1976. And I found that in my practice, I was doing some of what I was thinking of as deeper work. That is, sometimes putting people into states of really deep relaxation, and it seemed to be very therapeutic to them. Sometimes they would remember things that they had not been consciously aware of, particularly, and it seemed to be a very helpful process. So in early 1980s, I was traveling to other countries, for instance, Peru, and then Egypt a couple of times. And at those places, there was a moment when I was somewhere there in one of the ancient sites and suddenly had a very vivid memory of having been there a long time ago, maybe even 2,000 or 3,000 or more years ago. And these little flashes, I became accustomed to calling spontaneous past life recalls. So that eventually led me in the mid-1980s to start my training as a past life regression therapist. And at the last module of training, which was 1988, the woman who was doing our training module said very casually, those of you who are doing regression therapy work need to know that sometime it's possible that someone will come to you who's been very confused, baffled, mystified, maybe even traumatized by having been visited by very unusual beings who are not human, and they're not animals as we know them, and they seem to be from somewhere else in the universe, definitely not from Earth, and that sometimes these people are taken away for an hour or two and returned, and they usually don't remember very much about it except maybe just the first few moments at the beginning of this contact, or maybe the last couple of moments. So they might want to come to you to do regression work. Well, I was absolutely stunned when I heard that. Now, this, again, is 1988, and I had previously thought that anything to do with UFOs or extraterrestrial beings must be science fiction and not real. But then when this therapist trainer was saying this in all seriousness, that there were people who were experiencing these things, and because we're doing regression therapy, somebody might come to us for that sort of concern. So right after she said that, even more striking to me was that I heard a big, loud voice in my head saying very insistently, "Pay attention to this, Barbara. You will be doing this." So you can imagine, you're at two new things. One that visitors from somewhere else come and take people away for a little while. That was shocking enough. But then, what was this big voice in my head? It was not my voice. I never did find out exactly where that came from, but it was so insistent for me to really pay attention to this item, and because I would be doing this work. Well, I had never expected anything like that, and I found myself then, when out doing errands, I found myself looking for the nearest bookstore to see if there were any books about this subject. And I also found myself gravitating to magazine stores in the area where I lived in Southern California. I'm hoping to find magazine articles about this sort of subject, about UFOs and about these other beings coming and interacting with certain people. And I did find some information about it. So about 3 years later, in 1991, one day in the shower, which is a good sort of free-flow thinking time for me, I was thinking, if anyone does come to me for that sort of reason, I think I could handle that. I think I could manage that. I've been doing a few years now of regression therapy, and I could apply the same technique. So, that would be okay. Well, 2 hours later,
the same day,
thinking that, I was in a metaphysical bookstore, and the woman behind the counter said, "Oh, aren't you Barbara Lamb? Don't you do regression therapy?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she said, "Well, please, would you work with my 21-year-old daughter who's having very odd, unusual beings appear in her room, especially at night, but sometimes even during the day, and they seem to take her away. They always bring her back, but she is so traumatized that she can hardly function. She had dropped out of college that she was going to and dropped out of her part-time job and was feeling very, very dependent upon her parents for safety, even though the parents actually, of course, couldn't make her be any more safe. And she was continuing to have these visits, even when she was sleeping between her mother and father in their bed. So the parents were getting not only concerned, but a bit fed up with their 21-year-old daughter sleeping between them in their bed, as you can imagine. And so they needed help. Well, I thought, oh yeah, isn't that interesting? I had just a couple of hours ago concluded that I would be able to handle this, and here it is. So I saw that young woman, 21-year-old woman, wonderful wonderful girl, and saw her for 6 sessions. We did a regression each one of those sessions, and all kinds of different things happened from these extraterrestrial beings. And each time she had one of these experiences that we did the regression to, it was a different kind of extraterrestrial being. That was a surprise to me, but there it was. And we found all kinds of interesting things had happened during those episodes that we did the regressions to, including a session when she was physically healed in her bedroom at night by 3 very tall white beings, pure white. And they came into her room, rolled her over on her left side, and proceeded to work in her right ear. So she was conscious for some of that, longer than most people are conscious of their experiences with these beings. And she was aware that they were doing something in her right ear, the one that was badly infected. And then she drifted on into a really deep sleep. And when she woke up in the morning, those beings, 3 of them, were gone, but her ear felt perfectly normal and stayed perfectly healthy and normal. They had healed her very bad ear infection. So that had happened, and of course impressed her favorably. And then there was a daytime experience in which she and her sister, who was age 19 at the time, they were riding along or driving along in a car in their suburban LA town, and they began to realize that there was a blue beam of light from above, and that blue beam was coming in the back window of the car. And it was just about dusk time, so they could see this bright blue beam of light quite clearly. And as they were noticing the light and wondering about it, of course, the car motors started to sort of peter out, and they pulled the car over so it would be safe a bit off the road. And they happened to pull over right by a field. So they both jumped out of the car to get away from this beam, not understanding what it was. And they jumped a little fence and went into a field that was right there and started running across the field. Well, the blue beam of light hit my client in her lower back as she was running, and it felt so good, all warm and wonderful. So her sister kept on running, but she stopped to just receive the good feeling of this blue beam of light. Now, she had had chronic back pain up until those moments, but the beam of light absolutely relieved, we would say healed, the chronic back condition. So she suddenly realized that she had absolutely no more pain. She had been healed by the blue beam of light. So gradually her sister came back, and my client reassured her, well, this was wonderful. We didn't really need to be afraid of it at all. And they went back to the car and drove away, and life went on. So the 7th session, which she came in for, she said right away, you know, I feel honored. I feel privileged that these various beings have chosen me to work with. And I'm concluding that of all the different types that have come and whatever they have done, that it's really a good thing, even though it had been very, very frightening for me. So that was great. And she said that she was ready now to move into a little cabin in kind of a wilderness area near her town, move with her boyfriend. And I said, well, that's good. That's brave of you. And you realize, of course, that these experiences with the other beings might continue to happen, since they have happened for years now. And she said, yes, I know. I've considered that. And my boyfriend and I feel okay about that. If they come, we will just go ahead and accept that and not be frightened. So, you see, that was my very first case in 1991 of working with this sort of thing, with extraterrestrial visits. And that gave me courage to think that, well, gee whiz, if anybody else ever comes, now I know that I really can work with it. It can be effective. It can be very helpful for the person to know details of what had happened. And so I thought, well, maybe some year somebody might come. But as it turned out, about 5 months later, another lady came for the same reason, because she had been visited all of her life that she could remember by unusual beings and had had many different experiences. And very typically, she just remembered only the first several moments of the experience and then seemed to be out of conscious awareness. So that second lady actually worked with me for 11 years.
Wow.
Doing lots of sessions, lots of hypnotic regressions. She probably did about 60 regressions. So we found out so much about the variety of beings and the variety of experiences that she was having. And even though she had been very frightened at the very beginning of the experiences, she always found out in regression that there were perfectly good reasons for the beings doing what they did. And sometimes they were even doing wonderful things, like healing her and teaching her how to heal others and amping up her psychic skills and giving her lots of information about the other beings and other civilizations in the universe. And so she was concluding, as time went on, that this is really fascinating. I, too, am pleased that I'm having these experiences. And this woman, she must have been in her early 30s when she came to me. And she was also realizing through our work that she was frequently channeling an extraterrestrial being. And wonderfully, she channeled frequently when she was in my office with me, which meant that I got to speak to that extraterrestrial being. And I probably got to speak to him, at least 50 or 60 times.
Wow.
So we sort of alternated her channeling this being with regressions. We do regression some sessions and channeling the others. So I learned a lot from him, the being, who said that he lived on the binary star system, which we call Antares. And it is indeed in our star maps, and there really is such a place. So between her channeling and the regressions, wow, so much opened up for me.
And let me jump in, Barbara, because we're going to head towards a break.
Okay.
And so I'm going to rudely cut you off, but what I wanted to ask you quickly before the break, did this force your hand into serious research at this point? Did you have to go and see what others were experiencing or witnessing in other contactees and abduction cases? Were you now therapist / researcher?
Yes, I was mostly a therapist, but I did go to the UFO congresses and heard other lectures from people like Bud Hopkins and David Jacobs and so forth who were working with this. So, yeah, the research sort of kicked in without my planning it, but I was so intrigued that I was delighted to know as much about it as I possibly could.
It would only make sense, and in 60 seconds, if you could, that would only make sense. And did the issue for you continue to just get complex? It's not a simple situation that we're dealing with here, is it?
Oh, it's not simple at all, because there are so many different kinds of beings from different parts of the universe, and they each have their own agenda. So when I worked with that second woman, and then many others after, it's been about 2,000 individuals now whom I have worked with on their extraterrestrial encounters. So there's a tremendous variety of beings that come and interact with people, and they all seem to have their own program, their own purpose or agenda for coming. So there's a lot to this picture.
There is. Let's take a break right here. We'll pick up right where we're leaving off, Barbara, in just a few short minutes. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Barbara Lamb. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Any questions for Barbara, come and join the conversation in Twitter, hashtag F2BQ. You can also email Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. More with Barbara after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Come join us for the 2019 Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. This year, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods with Eric Von Daniken, and I'll be hosting the panel with Eric, Linda Moulton Howe, Jason Martell, Billy Carson, and join George Norrie, Nassim Haramain, Robert Schock, Daniel Brinkley, Grant Cameron, Julia Mossbridge, and another 50 speakers who will be presenting at the 2019 Conscious Life Expo. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for tickets and a full conference schedule, or click on the CLE banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Barbara Lamb. Tomorrow night, we've got a very special surprise in store for you. You have to stay tuned for that. Thursday night is open lines all night long. It is Fader night. But tonight, it is Barbara Lamb. And Barbara, okay, so this is what I find interesting. You've got a professional career happening. This literally falls in your lap. Now you are getting into the UFO community. You start attending seminars and conferences. And but before that, you hadn't had any interest in UFOs. Probably no sightings, right? But
yeah.
But what is going on now? Did you have any sightings after that? Did you yourself have any contact?
Well, I did not for a few years, but after I had really gotten involved in this and more people were coming, and I was learning more and more through these regressions, by about 1994, I realized that I had 17 clients who were coming, and my regular therapy clients too, who had nothing to do with this. But the 17 clients were coming and having regressions. And one by one, a few of them started asking, gee, is there anyone else I can meet and talk with about these things? That is, other people who are having these encounters also.
Barbara, are you moving your microphone around?
No.
Okay,
I don't think so, but...
move it a little farther from your mouth. There's some noise. Okay.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, it is. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, so back to this, 1994, 1995.
Yeah, so I decided, well, why don't I get the 17 of them together in a meeting? So that was the beginning of my experiencer support group. And I realized how valuable that was. Each person was so grateful that they were able to talk to somebody else who was experiencing these mysterious things. So that was really good. And also, I had been going to crop circles for 4 years at that point, crop circles in England. Every summer is becoming a very avid crop circle researcher as well. And then the entity that channeled through that second client whom I've been talking about, that entity said that if I wanted to, I could be taken for the making of a crop circle. This ET entity knew that I was going to England and was very involved in researching that phenomenon. So he said if I wanted to, I could just ask out loud, vehemently, to the beings who were doing the crop circles, even though I didn't know who they were, and just ask them and keep it up for a while, not just one little question or one little plea, but, talk to them for a while and let them know that I really had a very strong intent of being taken for the making of a crop circle. So that summer, on my way to Los Angeles airport to fly to England for about 45 minutes on the 405 freeway, I was talking to these beings and not knowing who they were, but getting more and more impassioned about it, that yes, I would really love to have that experience. So I arrived in England and did all kinds of wonderful things, saw many crop circles, etc. And about 3.5 weeks later, I was realizing that I had only one more day to see crop circles before I would fly home again. So that last night, before the last day, I asked again of the beings, again not knowing who they were or what they were like, to be taken for the making of a crop circle. And I believe that I was taken. I saw in my room, after turning off the bedside lamp, I saw 3 beings approaching me from the area of the window. And I closed my eyes and didn't know anything else until the alarm clock woke me up the next morning. Well, I was the one who discovered the new crop circle that happened during that night. And I just felt so in love with it, really. It may sound a little bit strange, but it was just a beautiful, wonderful experience being in a brand new crop circle full of energy and full of the little sound of snap, crackle, and pop, like Rice Krispies. And I felt very connected to that crop circle. So when I got home again, about 2 weeks later, I had a colleague regress me to that experience, and it showed that the 3 beings who had come toward my bed in the room the previous night actually took me up through the wall where it meets the ceiling and onto a small craft, and we flew a few minutes, a couple minutes probably, and then stopped over a wheat field.
Barbara,
and I could hear it
your Barbara, I have to jump in. Your microphone is making noise.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
My face bumps into it.
Yeah, it's covering up this wonderful story. So, let's back up to you had felt really good. The Rice Krispies. You felt really good about the experience. Yeah, let's pick up right there.
Okay, so the next day I flew home, and a couple of weeks later I had a regression therapy colleague regress me to that experience, and I got the details of being taken onto that small craft and flying a couple of minutes, stopping over a wheat field in the middle of the night, and then I heard a swooshing noise coming from the bottom of the craft, and it seemed to be making, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze, making a crop circle. And so I sort of followed it as it seemed to be moving around in a circle and making a swooshing sound every second or so, as if it was making a circle, circle of circles. And anyway, that was it. It was just very quick, only took a minute or so at the most. And then I was aware that we were flying back in another direction. And then I must have been returned to my hotel room. I don't recall that from the regression. And then I didn't know anything until I woke up with the alarm clock the next morning. So that was my indication that I really had been taken for the making of the crop circle. And as it turned out, the pattern of that particular crop circle really felt what I had experienced on the little craft, like a swooshing noise making a circle. And it really matched up perfectly with what that pattern was. So that was really an exquisite experience.
Well, let me ask you.
Really happened.
Yeah, and be straight with me, okay? Be really straight and honest.
Okay.
Did you think you were going crazy?
No, I didn't think so. Maybe other people might have thought so.
Sure.
No, I didn't, because by that time, 1994, I had done so many regressions with people to their extraterrestrial experiences that it seemed really quite normal. And I also felt very excited and very privileged that they had answered my request and trusted me, in a sense, to take for the making of a crop circle.
Now, with other researchers out there like Bud Hopkins and David Jacobs, and of course there's Yvonne Smith and a lot of really great therapists out there, but then you have the experiencer side of it, where I understand there must be thousands of different races that are coming here. There's billions of planets, and our galaxy and the universe is just so vast and so big. It's not just one. But that being said, Barbara, there are those out there that are not happy with their experiences, and they can be very disturbing, mean, awful. And then others out there that it's a wonderful experience, and they, so the question of being malevolent or benevolent, it sounds like your experiences generally have been very positive, but then there's the other ones that are really dark and sinister. What do you think is going on here?
Well, I think there is all of what you mentioned, for sure, from dark and sinister ones to more neutral ones we would consider more neutral, and then some positive experiences with lovely beings, and some extremely positive beings, experiences with some of these beings. And those tend to be sometimes more human-like beings, and sometimes they seem to be interdimensional beings. Some of them are so benevolent, it seems, to these people who experience them, and these beings are glowing with light. Sometimes they're almost transparent, but described as glowing with a beautiful light and a feeling of unconditional love that they radiate out. So I think the difference is because there are all these different beings. Some of them definitely seem to be more self-serving, and they come with a specific agenda, and they just carry out that agenda no matter what, like the poking and probing and taking of different samples of the person's body, as we hear about quite a bit. Some of those procedures seem very invasive and, of course, not wanted at all. And some of the beings look pretty frightening to the people who experience them. For instance, there are some that look like beetles, sort of, or the little gray beings with big heads and spindly little bodies and big black eyes that don't seem to move. You know, they have no expression in them or expression on the faces. Also, some of the reptilian types, people really do not like having encounters with. But on the other hand, there are beings who maybe are gray type, but they're taller and maybe 5'7" or 8 or so, different shades of gray or even tan or brown, but the same general look as what we think of as the little grays. And those beings seem to be more decent and even helpful in many cases. There are little white beings, too, that are like the little grays, but they're white, and they have round eyes with pupils, and they have expressiveness in their eyes and expressiveness in their faces, and they have been considered by people who have those encounters, they're considered very likable, even lovable. So now these are their words, not my words. This is coming from the people who experience them. So anyway, there are tall mantis beings, and I've heard a lot of people being afraid at first of the mantis beings because they're really tall. They might be 8 feet tall, might even be taller than that in some cases, and they look like a great big bug, a praying mantis looking bug. So I've had mixed reports on those too. Some, before their regress to those experiences, might have a glimpse of one of the mantis beings in their memory. But when we regress to one of those experiences, so far at least, those mantis beings tend to be very, very benevolent and caring, even loving and wise, kindly, and even in one case of the very tall white mantis being was very playful with a 4-year-old girl who had an encounter with my client, her grandmother. And so that helped me to get quite a different look on the mantis beings, that some of them, are really wonderful to have experiences with, according to the people who've had those experiences. So, some people will have an experience with so many different types of extraterrestrials in different encounters, from the little gray beings and the taller gray type, although they may be brown or tan, and human-looking, Nordic, we call them, beings, and mantis beings, and reptilian beings, and all kinds of other beings, even aquatic beings, or luminous blue beings, such as from Arcturus, and tall white zeta beings, and dolphin-like beings. So I'm just mentioning a few of the many types. So it's very difficult to really generalize too much about these beings. And I have people coming up to me sometimes and saying, well, what are the extraterrestrials like?
Right. That's my next question, of course.
And so I have to say, well, it depends on which type you're asking about, because there are so many different types, and they do really seem to come here for different reasons. As I said, they have their own agendas. Now, some of these beings are very, very caring about humanity, and they have shown that in quite a number of ways. In fact, I've given whole 90-minute lectures just on that aspect, about the ones that really show great compassion and caring for humanity as a whole, and compassion and caring for the individual people they encounter. And there were many cases of extraterrestrials even rescuing people who've been lost, or people who are in trouble. I have specific examples of that, which I give in some of my talks. And they're very concerned, many of them, about planet Earth and what we humans are doing to the Earth, ruining it in many ways, bit by bit, here and there. And we know all this too. But the thing is that they're very concerned about this, and they would like so much to see us change some of our practices and be taking much better care of the Earth, rather than plundering the Earth and ruining the Earth. They're particularly, and they're very vocal about this, concerned about our nuclear capability. And they know that we could totally ruin all life on the Earth if we start setting off nuclear weapons. In fact, we're already ruining a lot of aspects of the Earth with all the testing that we've done of atomic bombs and nuclear bombs and nuclear weapons. And they say that not only do they not want to see Earth totally ruined and humanity and all life on Earth extinguished, which we could really do with our nuclear capability, but even beyond that, they say that if we start sending off nuclear equipment, radiation would rise not only throughout the Earth, and not only throughout the solar system, but would even reach planets beyond our solar system. So that's, of course, a very good reason for them wanting us to stop doing anything with nuclear material, even nuclear power plants, which, of course, can leak, as we know. Mm-hmm. So they're concerned for us and for themselves. And rightfully so, I think. So with that caring about Earth, I think that brings them to Earth a lot, many different types, and that's why we see UFOs, because they really do come here. So there are those more scientifically oriented extraterrestrials who come and check out things, and even they turn off our nuclear warheads.
Sure.
That we've got all aimed and ready to go at the push of a button. And there are several examples of these nuclear missile silos where the missiles in different parts of the world have been decommissioned by the extraterrestrials. They don't want those things going off any more than we want them to go off.
No, they want to hang out here too as well, right? I mean, they don't.
Yeah, I think probably some of them do, and so some of it's sort of for enlightened self-interest on their part, but a lot of it too is that they express, some of them, really caring for humanity. You know, way back in 1982, I came across the book called UFO Contact from the Pleiades. This was the Billy Meyer material. And I found the book on the coffee table of a friend and had a few minutes to look at it. And I was amazed at these photographs of UFOs that Billy Meyer in Switzerland took. And also I was impressed with the writing in that book. There were quotes from these beings from the Pleiades. And the Pleiadians said that they consider us humans as we would consider little brothers. So they knew that we needed some help, that we had some development that we could do in better directions, and they were really very caring about us. Well, that was before I knew that extraterrestrials and UFOs were real, but I was very impressed with that, and at that time I hoped that that was true. I didn't know yet that it was true, but I dearly hoped so. And I thought, isn't that wonderful that there's someone else in the universe that is aware of us and cares about us humans? And they can actually come here and they can be photographed, or their crafts at least could be photographed. And wow, I hope that's true. So as I've come through all these years of doing this work, now I really trust that indeed it is true.
Let's take a break right here. Barbara, our guest tonight, Barbara Lamb. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on KGRA, The Planet, and the Game Changer Network. More with Barbara after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana Pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fadernauts, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Barbara Lamb. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Join the conversation, hashtag F2B, and come and hang out on the sandbox. Of course, we have the chat rooms open too as well. And Barbara, before we get to hybrids and DNA, which I want to spend the rest of the show on, a couple of quick questions about regression. Why do some, including yourself, because of what you just said when you were regressed, why do some remember and some don't?
Well, do you mean why do some remember the whole experience before they have a regression?
There's that part
after?
of it. Well, there's that part. It's a general question because it's that aspect of it, and then there's the regression therapy itself, where some don't remember the regression therapy, and some do, and remember everything that It's really strange how it all works. So
Yes.
yeah, why do some remember and some don't?
Well, first of all, most people do not remember very much about the regression. I mean, very much about the encounter without having a regression. The beings come for a person, and usually the person is aware of just the first few several moments that there are beings there, or there's a bright light coming into the room, or little sparkles of light, or orbs of light flying around, and they might wake up in the middle of the night and see that there are beings there in the room standing near the bed, and they might be aware as long as to realize that they can't move and they can't call out. They can usually turn their eyes, but not any other part of their body. And then they usually are made to be out of consciousness for the rest of the experience. So that's without regression. This is just the actual experience itself. So the rest of the experience is something they're not consciously aware of, except that after such an encounter, somebody might have a very quick flashback of some aspect of that whole encounter. But usually they don't remember very much beyond that. Now, when they do a regression, what I have found with most people, and it's been about 3,700 regressions I've done with that almost 2,000 people, because some of them have had many regressions. And so typically they will remember most of the regression, but there will be some details usually that they do not remember. So that's why I think it's very important to record the session.
Right.
I used to do that with audio tapes, but I gave up on that when I was finding that most people, because we'd gone digital, that most people had given away their tape recorders and no longer had anything to play a tape on.
Right.
So for a couple of years now, 2 or 3 years, I've encouraged people to do their own recording on their own cell phone, and then they can listen to it again. I think it's helpful, too, for them to listen to the recording of the regression again sometime when they feel like it, because there will be some details, some aspects of the encounter that they'll hear for the first time through their own recording. In other words, certain details they may have forgotten, but they do remember the main body of the experience. At least that's what seems to happen to the people I do the regressions with.
Now, what about, I'm going to go dark, or a little bit dark here, in that if there's an overwhelming amount of positive ET contact, that some of that positive contact are implanted positive memories to cover up something that may not have been so positive.
Well, I know that there is that theory, and if it seems to be something that the person or I am in doubt about, we can always do the regression again if the person is willing and see if it's exactly the same details, the same memories that come up again, or if something that seemed to be positive seems to be covering something more negative. I know that that is a theory, that David Jacobs has. I know David Jacobs. I'm very fond of him as a person. We find very different results in certain aspects of our work, but who knows why that is? But he often feels that, it couldn't really be a positive experience. It must be covering up something pretty nasty.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am feeling more acceptable about some of these encounters being very positive.
I went through, I'm not going to spend any time on this at all. I've talked about it way too much, but I went through an experience of something being in my room. And this was around 1995. But what was strange about that, I didn't share the experience with anybody. And for years, now I talk about it all the time, right? But anyway, I didn't share the experience. But what I did, I knew what had happened with me personally. And as I researched these types of experiences, that I saw over and over again nearly exactly what I had gone through. And that did two things to me, Barbara, that let me know that I wasn't crazy, but it also scared the crap out of me that it was actually real, right? I was hoping that it wasn't. And then there was the strange little third thing that has been hanging out there about, should I be regressed? Should I go back and find out what happened in that 15 minutes that I remember? And you know what my answer is?
What?
No. I don't want to know. 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 It took me years to deal with it on my own terms anyway, right?
Yes, yes.
And I just don't want to go there.
Well, I think that is very understandable because, for one thing, there's been a lot of news about people having really frightful experiences. And, of course, you don't want to open yourself up to finding out something like that. In other words, before you really look into it, there's no reassurance that you're going to be okay with what you find, or even pleased with what you find, as some people are. I mean, you're really taking a chance. And I think that's something that I can perfectly well respect, that you may not want to do that.
Yeah, and I don't want to stop anybody out there from going and doing it. Don't listen to me. This is just my way of dealing with it, and everybody's got a different way of looking at it. And if you feel that is something that you want to do, go and do it. But with me personally, man, you know what? I just don't want to know. I just don't want to know.
That's okay, Jimmy.
Don't want to know.
I understand.
Now, which leads us into, I want to talk about hybrids and this aspect of things, because there must be an agenda. No matter who is visiting this planet, they're not coming here to waste their time. Maybe they're coming here for a vacation and they just want to hang out, but they are here for a purpose. And we have seen the changes in Homo sapiens sapien. It is such an obvious thing where we are the only ones that are like us on this planet. That's it. There isn't anything else like us. But we certainly seem to have just appeared here on this planet 200,000 years ago, and without any evolution to support that. There is no missing link. And to that end, is that a possibility where we were interfered with, or maybe created or modified?
Well, it certainly is a possibility, and I think nowadays we're hearing more and more about that possibility. Of course, there's Zecharia Sitchin's work, which, of course, is very, very interesting, about the Anunnaki, extraterrestrials coming from planet Nibiru, way back, a long time ago, and taking the very primitive life, maybe we could even call it pre-human development of hominids, and doing genetic engineering with them and creating the early human beings. That would be the missing link aspect that you mentioned. And then over a period of time, probably centuries, I would guess, they did more genetic tweaking until we became Homo sapiens sapiens as we know us nowadays. So I think that is a very likely possibility. I don't think there's been any proof of that, but it's a very compelling theory, and it could very well be true in my opinion. And it could be true also that over a period of time, Homo sapiens sapiens has been genetically modified a bit here and there until here we are the way that we are now in the 21st century. So it could be, again, I want to underline could, it's a possibility, we could all as humans be hybrids in that sense, that they added some of their genetics, their DNA, out of the more primitive form that we were a long time ago. And now we are the humans, which we know and are. So that's a very interesting theory. And then there's something more current happening and has been happening for quite a while. Two categories of hybrids, which I've been paying quite a bit of attention to for some years now. So the first category of hybrids is that there are hybrids living on the ships, and rather than living on Earth. And these are hybrids created by the mixture of an extraterrestrial and a human. So probably many of your listeners are aware that there have been many women who have had eggs taken from their ovaries in abductions. And then those eggs have been put into a little petri dish type of equipment on board the ship, and a little fetus, an embryo, I should say, has been created with a mixture of the woman's eggs and the extraterrestrial genetic and reproductive material. So that little embryo is then, well, it's hybrid, of course, and that little embryo is implanted again into the human mother in another abduction, and she carries that embryo for 1 to 3 months, and then she is taken again, and that little embryo is removed from her and put into a gestation tank on board the spacecraft. And that little embryo grows into a fetus and then into what looks more like a baby. And at a certain time, when the extraterrestrials tending to this tank of fluid with the little life inside it, when they determine that the life is mature enough to be born, it is removed from the tank and wrapped up in swaddling clothes and put in kind of an incubator-like shelf, and then raised as a hybrid baby and a hybrid child. And if that new life lives long enough, it becomes a hybrid teenager and even a hybrid adult. But those hybrids, which are half extraterrestrial and half human, they continue to live their life on the spaceship with the other extraterrestrials, usually a mixture of extraterrestrial types, or maybe they live on another planet in some cases, rather than on the ship. But they never do live here on Earth because they're not proportionately enough human to survive here. nor would they really pass here among human civilization because they would look too different. Now, those hybrid children living on the ships often get visited by the mother who had contributed the eggs, or in some cases the human father from whom sperm had been removed in order to make a hybrid baby. And so the mother or the father, or sometimes both, will be taken to view the baby and hold the baby. And it's explained to them that it's important for the mother especially to hold the hybrid baby and nurture and cuddle the baby, because since the hybrid is half human, they have learned that that little hybrid baby absolutely needs that affection from the mother. And the same is true of the father, but not quite to the extent as with the mother. Okay, so that kind of hybrid is the first type that I'm talking about. They live their lives elsewhere. And then those hybrids, when old enough, like age 12 or 13 or so, when they become sexually mature enough, they combine with another human, an abducted human. So that offspring, of course, is 2/3 human and 1/3 extraterrestrial. And when that offspring of that combination is mature enough, that offspring will combine with yet another human. So pretty soon you get more and more humanness in proportion. And so it is thought that perhaps after enough generations, those hybrids might live on Earth. I don't know personally of any hybrids of that type that live on Earth. Maybe there are some, maybe there aren't, but they're not within my scope of knowing about it. But I do know about a whole different group of hybrids, and these are the hybrids that I've written about in my book called Meet the Hybrids, co-authored with Miguel Mendonça, a wonderful man in England who's been very interested in all of this and a very good writer. So these hybrids, ET human hybrids, these hybrids are made in somewhat of a different way.
How so?
They were all born here on Earth from a human mother and a human father, but either before conception or during the life in the mother's womb, they were hybridized. In other words, in a couple of cases, the extraterrestrials took eggs from the human mother and sperm from the human father and combined that with the extraterrestrial genetics of usually more than one type of extraterrestrial too. Might even be a few different types all working together. So they create a little embryo, ET and human, and then implant that in the mother and leave that embryo in the mother so that that embryo develops into a fetus and into a regular baby already hybridized and gets born here on Earth the way that we all do. Now, another method of hybridization with this type of being is that the mother is already pregnant with the sperm from the father, human, and then during the gestation period, during the pregnancy of the mother is taken on the ship and is injected through the wall of the uterus, the wall of the stomach and the uterus, and into the fetus inside. That little fetus is injected with the extraterrestrial genetics and becomes hybridized at that point. So that seems to be a very common way of a fetus becoming hybridized. One of the women in our study in Meet the Hybrids did not become hybridized until she was age 6. And she was hybridized by being taken by the beings and injected right directly into her body, injected with the extraterrestrial genetics of about 5 different species already mixed together. So she became a hybrid. But these hybrids we actually have come to call extraterrestrial ambassadors on Earth, because they are here for really benevolent reasons from very benevolent extraterrestrial species. So they are here basically to upgrade the consciousness of humanity and help to bring higher, better frequencies to the earth. So these people here are for a life of service, and they are doing really wonderful things, teaching, having workshops, teaching classes, doing writing, teaching psychic skills, teaching healing skills, doing telepathic talking, a whole range of psychic skills, and really inspiring their human students. And because they look completely human, and as I said, they were born from a human mother and father right here on Earth, they are very accepted by human beings. I think it's a brilliant thing, really, because these benevolent beings who've contributed their genetics to these people, they would love to come and help to inspire humans and raise our consciousness. But they would not be accepted here, nor would they be able to withstand our viruses and bacteria. So they can't come and do this work themselves, but they can create these hybrids who will do this work and are doing this work that the beings would like to see done.
We need to take a break right here. That is fascinating. We're going to finish this right here, this thought, when we come back after this short break. Our guest tonight is Barbara Lamb. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. How you doing? Tonight, our guest is Barbara Lamb. Fascinating conversation. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio, and you can also post any questions that you have for Barbara over at hashtag F2BQ on Twitter. And I've been reading your questions tonight throughout the broadcast. Yeah, Barbara, you thought that it was just me and my bright mind. It's our audience, too, that's jumping in tonight with some of these wonderful questions. Okay, so now let's get back to our hybrid and DNA questions conversation.
Yes.
Why? Why do it if you are staying on the ships or going somewhere else? What information have you gotten on that?
What do you mean by
why the hybrid program if you're not going to come down here and hang out on planet Earth?
Oh, I see. Well, I think that this is just a guess on my part, but I think that various extraterrestrial species have been experimenting now to see what they can create and what those beings would be like. Anyway, many of the hybrids are seen by experiencers. They're seen working together with different species of extraterrestrials on the ships. So they seem to have useful purposes. They're part of the workforce on the spaceships, even though they're not coming here to do work. And you see, it's just some of the many, many extraterrestrial species that have created the hybrids who can live here and work here on Earth and do the work on Earth that those beings would like to see done here. The other ones, the ones that get to stay on the ships because they're not human enough, they are probably quite useful. They would be intelligent because they're part human and part extraterrestrial.
Right.
So they might be, I would assume, probably are much more intelligent even than we humans are. So they're probably quite useful to the extraterrestrial beings.
And there's the other theory out there, love to hear your comment on this, that they're just prepping us for an ultimate takeover. They're prepping the planet, they're getting the atmosphere and other things better situated for them, and of course us in general. And eventually there won't be any more us, it'll be just them.
Well, I've heard those theories, definitely, and I do not know about that. I can't validate that in any way. I just have not come across that in my particular practice, and I try to restrict the talking about all of these matters to what I have individually learned through doing this work, rather than taking on somebody else's theories.
Right. And the hybrid program, I have heard so many stories and reports over the years about hybrid sightings. Even at conferences, right, where there'll be somebody sitting,
yes,
a family in the back. That is just a little bit different from the rest of us. Not
right,
hanging out, not intermingling, just there at the conference and then disappears, or sightings on the street and so forth. And
yes,
I also want to get into black-eyed children too as well. But what about that side of it? The hybrid sightings. Will we know one if we saw one?
Well, I saw one that I would not consider the kind of hybrid that I've been researching, knowing, and writing about, the ones who were born here on Earth. But in a coffee shop a few years ago, a friend and I were sitting and having coffee, and there was a woman who came in and walked right past us, and we both had a shudder, a striking physical reaction to just seeing this woman. And we both looked at each other and said, hybrid. She's got to be a hybrid. And there was something really about the energy, the vibrations of that person that were so different than any other person we'd ever been close to. And she just walked past us. I was absolutely stunned, and I wanted so much to get up out of my chair and follow her into the rest of the coffee shop and talk to her. I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I felt like I was stuck to the seat. And then a little while later, she came right near our table to one of those little shelves where you can put cinnamon or sugar or chocolate sprinkles or whatever in your coffee. And so she was about 3 feet away from us. with her back to us. She was busy doing something with her coffee. And again, I wanted so much to get up and go to that little counter and look at her and talk to her. And I didn't know what I would say. But again, I just couldn't get up and do it. And my friend and I both felt that maybe this woman had somehow been able to affect us, that I wouldn't be able to get up. I mean, she probably didn't want to be approached and spoken with. It was really, I still remember that experience very vividly. I mean, how odd that was. And I will never know about her. I never saw her again, and I will never know if she really was a hybrid. But whoa, there was something so incredibly different about that person.
Yeah, she knew that you knew.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really do think so. Now, whether she stayed here on Earth for a long time or not, I just really don't know. But I would suspect that she might not have stayed here very long, because her whole demeanor, her look, her frequencies was just so different. And she probably affected other people very oddly, like she affected us too. But yes, you do hear about this at one of the MUFON meetings in Orange County, California. My co-author of Alien Experiences book, Nadine Lalich, she sat in the back row, and in the row right in front of her, but a little bit to the side, she watched two young men in black sweatshirts with hoodies just sitting there through the whole lecture, not moving at all. I mean, usually if you're sitting there, you know, your head moves a little bit every once in a while, or you loosen your shoulders, or you shift your position, or you move your hands or something when you're listening to a lecture. But these two sat there like statues. And she kept looking at them and thinking, wow, they are really different. And when the lecture was over, she wanted to go and talk to them, but they immediately faced the other direction and went out the door of the meeting room to the outside and never showed up again. But wow, she said, so she never really got a good look at their faces, but they just seemed so odd. And the feeling from them, the vibration from them was really different, she said.
Now, you've been doing this for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And here we are. I would say this is the most exciting time for ufology in the community ever. We're in this crazy information age. We've got the New York Times and what happened last December 16th in 2017. And it was like the days of disclosure, right? Here we are. It's finally starting to happen. What did you feel? And how do you feel now? What did you feel then? Did you think that we were on the brink of something busting open? Now we moved on to 2019, right? And we floated right through 2018, and we all thought that 2018 was our year.
Yes, we did. I think we really got our hopes up, those of us who would like to see this openly acknowledged. There was that little foray to the Stars Academy, introduced information about this, and there were some really high-ranking government people who had just retired from the government who were involved, are still involved, I'm sure, with that To the Stars Academy. So they did an opening foray, shall we say, of giving out information about UFOs, and then seemed to pull back. Now, just recently, from some people I know who know a couple of those To the Stars Academy people, they have said that there's very soon now in 2019 are going to be releasing some further information. So we will see. But, when people have said to me, when are we going to have government disclosure? And that's asked of me many, many times. And of course, I don't know if we'll ever have official government disclosure. But I always say, we are the disclosure. So that right now, this very moment, Jimmy, you and I and all of your listeners are talking about this and thinking about this, and everything that we say, and there are many others giving talks about extraterrestrials and UFOs, all of this is part of the disclosure informally. In other words, more and more information bit by bit is coming out. Look at the YouTube channels and Gaia channels and so much information on the internet and DVDs, movies to some extent, books, tons of books out there about this whole phenomenon. So in a way, we may not need to have any government making an official disclosure because, fortunately, people are able to get a lot of information about this if they wish to.
Are we close? What do you think?
Close to disclosure?
Yeah. Are we getting there, Barbara?
I do think bit by bit we are. And just whether it comes in the form of official government announcements or not, the information, the knowledge about this is spreading a lot, spreading like wildfire all over the earth. Just with the books that I've been fortunate to write. Anyway, the book called Meet the Hybrids, that is being translated and published now in France and in Japan. Without our seeking, without our looking for that, people are in other countries picking it up and wanting their populace to know about it as well. So I think that the information about UFOs and extraterrestrials is really increasing probably all over the world. And for sure, people have been experiencing extraterrestrial encounters all over the world. And we know that there are UFO sightings all over the world. So I think that all of this is going to be continuing. And whether the governments, any of them, ever make an official disclosure or not, I think more and more people are going to be aware of that. As they say, we are not alone in the universe.
When you've done 2,600 regressions, I can imagine that there is one thing that you hear over and over again from clients of yours, patients of yours, that are not in communication with each other. And you see this little kernel, this little commonality between them all. Can you share that with us?
Well, I think the most obvious commonality is that the beings let the people having these encounters be aware of very little of the whole encounter, aware consciously of it. Now, one of the reasons that has been mentioned by some of the extraterrestrials to my clients, and also from the channeling of that extraterrestrial I used to talk to many, many times, was that the extraterrestrials know that we humans can be very reactive, very volatile, very frightened, and we can really flail out. We have the fight or flight impulse very strongly in us. And an example of this is that one of my clients who had probably done 30 regressions over a period of a few years, she got to the point where she really wanted to have an encounter where she would be conscious and awake for the whole experience. And she really meant that. And I said, well, if you really want that, you can ask for that. You can say out loud, even if the beings don't seem to be right there with you as you're saying it, you could say, please take me and let me be consciously aware of every moment of the experience.
And what happened?
So shortly after that, lo and behold, a group of beings came again. She was in bed at night, and they levitated her up off the bed. She was consciously aware of that. And she happened to sort of look down at the bed and realize she was about 6 feet above the bed. And even though she had wanted sincerely to be awake and aware, conscious of the whole experience, seeing herself up off the bed like that with beings around her, she just began to freak out. She began to flail about, and her arms and legs were kicking out and so forth. And immediately, these 4 beings who were there wrapped her in sort of a netting. She said it reminded her of a fish netting. They bound her up like a cocoon and then continued to take her through the wall, out into the air, and into a spaceship. She was conscious for that, but she couldn't move. And they said, we thought this might happen, and we are wrapping you up because we don't want you to hurt yourself, and we don't want you to hurt us. So when they got into the spaceship, they stood her up on her feet, and they unwrapped the fish netting sort of material so she wasn't bound up anymore. And then she went on with the rest of the experience, which happened to be with a very illumined, high-dimensional spiritual being. It was a magnificent encounter, as it turned out. But that's just an example of how they know that we get very, very reactive and very frightened about these unusual things. And they don't want to be hurt, and they don't want us to hurt ourselves in the process.
Now, I wanted to ask you really quick before we do run out of time in about 6 minutes. What do you think about what's going on down in Antarctica right now? We've got a lot of ice that is melting and a lot of talk about things that are about to be discovered underneath that ice. Do you have any information on that?
Well, I've heard other people speak about it, other people who actually have been researching that, and I am absolutely intrigued because not only are there pyramids that are sticking up, the point of the pyramids are sticking up out of the melting ice. That's intriguing in itself. But also there are these people who have explored underground facilities that are 2 miles down deep under the surface of the ice and snow. In Antarctica, there are huge caverns and with structures like an 80-foot tall ceiling. I was just hearing the other day from Linda Moulton Howe, and no columns holding up that 80-foot tall ceiling. And there were ancient buildings full of carvings and hieroglyphics that are very much like hieroglyphics that have been found, unbeknownst to most humans, on Mars and also on structures on the moon. So it implies that there was an extraterrestrial civilization living there a long, long time ago. Loads of artifacts, loads of carvings. I mean, it is absolutely intriguing, I think, what's been going on down there, 2 miles deep. Imagine that.
I know. Imagine that. And when we talk about disclosure, I think you're right. Disclosure lies within us, but it's going to be something that is going to be out of the government's control, and then they're just going to have to fess up. I think so. Yeah, ultimately, I think that's what it's going to be. We can't sit around on our hands and wait for somebody to just start to admit things. It's right. Something is going to happen. Something is going to happen that they can't control, and then they've got to come clean. And
yes,
it's the odds every day that passes we're one more day closer to that craziness. That's my opinion, Barbara.
Well, what an exciting time this is. Getting ready for an official disclosure and all of the things that we're learning about it. So many people involved in this research, so many people experiencing the encounters with the beings, so many people having sightings of unusual crafts, which we call UFOs. I mean, it is bustling with activity, and we are getting to be aware of some of that.
So what's up next for you? Do you have a new book coming out? What are you working on? What's next?
Well, what's next for me is a more personal endeavor, and that is I want to write about some of the what I consider highly unusual experiences that I have had in my life, involving spirit visitations, involving going into the spirit world, amazing past life experiences, spontaneous recalled and regressed to, many out-of-body experiences, all kinds of things like that, that I personally have experienced.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get you back on the show. We started to talk a little bit about that over lunch the other day. And I'm looking at you, and I'm like, this woman has so many layers. Barbara, you've got so many layers to you. And I look forward to our next conversation. And just thank you so much. From everybody here in our community, thank you for everything that you do. Don't stop, and I look forward to the book.
Great. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Barbara. Thank you so much, Barbara. Barbara Lamb, and her website, and the links are right there at jimmychurchradio.com. It's BarbaraLambMFT.com. You can go and check that out. Everything is right there at jimmychurchradio.com. Barbara Lamb. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. What a wonderful conversation. 5 years we've been talking about it, and we got her done. It was amazing. Thank you, Barbara. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back after this short break. I'll open up the phone lines and we'll rock out this last segment. Stay with me.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numanna banner on jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and my family is safe because of Numanna Emergency Food Storage. Just go to the Numanna banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code Jimmy10.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. I want to thank Barbara Lamb. Unbelievable conversation. I say that every time, too, don't I? That was amazing. I'm opening up the phone lines right now. 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. Let's go straight to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Eric.
Hey, Eric. How are you?
I'm not doing real well, but I was inspired by Barbara's accounts tonight.
Why aren't you doing well?
Well, I'm not really sure, but Wednesday last week I started feeling kind of nauseous, and then I started throwing up, and nothing was really coming out, and so I just wasn't really able to eat anything. I was kind of thinking maybe I just got a little something, and then Friday came, and I was just praying that I was going to get better so I can come to the conference. And then it just got worse, and I've been having this kind of black gooey stuff coming out of both ends of my body for 5 days now. I haven't been able to eat or hold anything down. I just barely can drink water.
Yeah, I do that every day before the show. So,
Oh, God.
So, sounds like food poisoning.
Yeah, I don't know. I called John Polk and told him, he goes, "Do you think you're being attacked?" And I go, "I don't know, dude. I just know that I'm sick and I don't feel good." But it comes in waves. It's like I'll feel like I'm getting better, and then a couple hours later, I'm in the toilet again. It's just one of those things. It's weird.
Right. Well, I hope you get to feeling better. And there's nothing like, late night, you got your beverage of choice, and you got your blankie, and you've got Fade to Black, right? And you get to just, get a little comfy, and you get to hear talk about hybrids. That's that'll make you feel a little better. So okay, so you called me. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'll tell you the hybrid story, but real quickly, I was lucky enough. Somebody posted a YouTube video of your panel. I don't know if you probably know that, on Friday, and I just thought it was fantastic. I just wanted to say, great job. I mean, just really, at least I got to experience the 2 hours that you were there Friday out through that YouTube video.
Yeah, I've done an awful lot of panels, Eric. You've certainly been to a number of them. And I've done a lot of panels, and that one was right up there, and that says a lot, considering some of the things that I've been very lucky to do over the years to host. That was pretty cool. That was pretty special. Yeah,
you had the great blend. I mean, with the rabbi, and of course, Mr. Carson and Linda Moulton Howe and Jason. I just thought the blend was really interesting because you had a lot of different kind of perspectives.
Yep. And of course, Eric, who was we were around Eric all weekend. Dude was, I don't have another way to explain it. Dude was bubbly, uppity, happy, hanging out, running around nonstop, and it was so much fun to be around him. He was totally cool, man. Totally cool.
Did you get to do a shot with him? A shot of vodka?
I did not. I did some other things, but I didn't do that. But did you hear him say "Gobekli Tepe"?
Yes, I did. I like the way he pronounced it in his German tongue. I thought was kind of cool, too. I don't know how he said it, but it just sounded kind of cool.
Yeah, the next day, when I was, it was the next morning, I'm introducing him again, right? It's the next morning. And we're hanging out backstage. And I said to him, I said, Eric, say Gobekli Tepe again for me. And he starts laughing. And he goes, Jimmy, I say it wrong. I said, what do you mean? He goes, the Germans have it backwards. And I said, what do you mean? And Ramon jumps in. Ramon jumps in and he says, the K and the L are reversed. And I said, oh, really? And so Eric whips it off a couple of more times. Blah, 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 blah. I went, oh, I hear it. Okay, now I get it. And Eric goes, so I say it the German way, but it's wrong. It's not the right way. You say it correct, Jimmy. I said, oh, man, I like yours better. He goes, I like yours better, but I can't. It's really funny. I'm sitting here debating with Eric Von Daniken how to say Gobekli Tepe. And it was so funny. He said, I just can't say it the right way now. I've said it the wrong way for so many years. I just can't say it the right way. But, okay, yeah, the panel was fun, and I'm glad that you caught it. I did see, I watched the opening moments of it today because I wanted to catch when I think her name was Ariana, who I brought up from out of the audience to sign, to get the book signed. And I thought,
I got tears from that, by the way. Just watching it on video.
I did too. I did too today. I watched it again, and she had no idea. And she was so cool. I was worried that I'd pick somebody that would go, no, I don't want to come up on stage, right? And but yeah, first time it worked, and she jumped up, and she was just amazing. She was just amazing.
But there was only one thing that I'm not trying to be critical of you. I'm just wondering if Rita gave you a little spanking later that night, because when you introduced Billy and you referred to his lovely wife, and then you made a comment about Rita, and I thought, oh, Jimmy, why did you say that?
What did I say?
You go back and listen to it. I don't want to throw you under the bus on the radio, bro.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, it's not a big deal, but I'm sure Rita heard it.
Oh, you're talking about Machu Picchu.
No, just about,
Okay, Eric.
Kind of imply that anyway.
Okay, Eric, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I think you're imagining things. Nobody else said anything.
Probably, yeah.
Nobody went up to Rita and went, Jimmy said. So I'm in the clear. Rita, don't ask Eric anything. Nothing happened. Okay. You called.
You're saying my hybrid story.
Yeah. You called in about Barbara.
Yeah, well, it was Barbara triggered the memory because last year when I was in Sedona, there was a conference that Suzanne Ross was putting on, and she had several people, and so I got invited. And this lady named, I think her name was Laura Thunderbeat, I forget her first name. But anyway, she was doing a presentation, and she was playing some Indian type of Congo stuff on stage, after her presentation. And I'm standing in the back, standing room only at this conference. It was really a pretty good conference, actually. It wasn't massive. There's probably 150 people there. But what's interesting I've learned in my travels is these different locations. You get a different kind of blend of people. In these Sedona, Arizona type conferences, you get a lot of kind of spiritual. I don't even know the right word to put it, but there's just a different kind of flavor and a different kind of energy to some of these speakers and the people that go to these conferences. So anyway, I'm standing in the back room, standing next to Suzanne Ross, and we're just kind of looking around the room, and and this lady's playing her music, and then she goes, "Look over there," and I go, "Where?" She goes, "Over there," and I look to my left, and there's this lady, very probably in her early 20s, I would say, very petite. Blonde hair. Her hair was really very thin and kind of. It didn't look healthy. It looked kind of stringy, but she was beautiful. She was only maybe 5 feet tall, and she's doing this dance where she's got her hands and her arms moving above her head, and she's moving her body around. And it wasn't sexual or anything, but it was just I'd never ever seen anybody move like that. And she goes, Suzanne goes, she's a hybrid. I go, what? She goes, look at her. And I'm staring at her, and then the lady looks over at us, and she had these blue eyes that were probably 50% larger in terms of the orbital structure of the eyeballs than your standard human eyeballs. And I thought, maybe she is a hybrid. I'm thinking, you're not kidding, right, Suzanne? You really think this lady's a hybrid? She goes, I just know she is. I can feel it. So we're watching her dance, and then the song ends, and I got to talk to this lady. I got to go up and figure out what the deal is with this lady. So she walks outside in the little waiting area after the conference, kind of in the little break time. And I walked up to her, and I didn't remember the questions I asked her because I was kind of in awe of her because she just looked very unique. And so I remember I asked her where she's from. She said she was from Los Angeles. And I was asking her these questions, and she was just giving me these answers that were almost like they just didn't feel like they were flowing in a natural, normal way. It was really strange. And so then this guy walks up, and it turns out this guy that walked up, I guess, brought her to the conference. And he was kind of like listening to us talk and kind of like almost like protecting her. So I was starting to go into my little investigation mode, just very carefully trying to probe, and because this lady was different. And if I had to bet, I would say that woman was a hybrid because they left after that. It was almost like they didn't want anybody to really know or talk to this woman. He was trying to protect her. And I was kind of bummed because I was hoping that, the next day I was going to get to see her again and maybe try to ask her more questions. But anyway, I just think this hybrid thing is real. And I think that they've been around for a while. I actually think that there's hybrid humans on Earth right now walking amongst us. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as the guy that she was referring to, Dr. Jacobs. Maybe not. I mean, but when you see something like that and you experience talking to somebody like that, it makes you stop and think, well, maybe this is true. And then you hear somebody like Barbara Lamb describe her research and her experiences, the pieces start to come together, and some of these stories that at first, when I first heard these stories, I thought, come on now. But then they become more plausible, and then they become more possible. And so, I don't know, I'm really grateful to to have the opportunity to meet all you guys and experience all these conferences and listen to all your shows, because really, my mind is expanding, and I'm constantly learning. And one thing I have learned is some of the things that I believed a year or two ago, I've kind of gone in a little bit of another direction, where I feel like I just suggest that everybody try to keep as an open mind as possible about some of these things, because it might sound nutty at first, but some of this stuff I don't think is nutty. That's all.
We had so much fun without you. You missed it all, man. You missed it all. The stories, the fate or not, the private parties. Oh man, this was the one conference.
Story, Jimmy, please.
This was the one conference that out of everything that I have hung out with you with over the years, this was the one. Okay, I'll share this with you. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm out in front of the Hilton Hotel, and I meet the night before. This lady had offered. Are you moving your phone around? Don't move it. Keep it still.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Okay, because that's really loud. Okay.
I'm going to mute.
No, okay. All right, that's probably a good idea. So, the night before, this lady offers us her table, her corner, because she saw the fate or not standing there. And we ended up not taking her table, but the next day, she was outside and she came up and I thanked her. I said, thank you for offering us that, women's. And anyway, so I started talking to her, and she tells me, she pulls up this picture of herself in her phone of her square pupils. And I'm looking, now we're up at the booth. I'm sitting at the table at the booth. And I'm talking to her, looking at this picture, and Sid Goldberg steps up, and he's joining in on our conversation. And I show him the picture of her square pupils, and as he's looking at the picture, I'm looking at her. I'm sitting down; she's standing in front of me, and I looked up and I said, "Your pupils are square right now." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "They are." And Sid goes, "Oh, man, they are." And he grabs his phone and takes a picture, close-up of her face, and flips it around and shows her pupils are square, dude. Square. Not like kind of square. Square. And then he took another picture with a flash. And when he did that, her pupils went round. Just like that. And now she sent me, I've got her pictures. I've got them. And I'll have Sid send me the one that he took in front of us. But it was one of the, now I'm telling you, my mind gets blown very rarely. That freaked me out. It freaked me out. It reminds me of the first time I looked in the face of a baby goat, and you see those rectangle pupils. It just doesn't, look normal. We're used to round pupils, and, humans look at other humans' eyes, and we have adapted to that through evolution for years, and that's how we read people, and we look at the beauty of the eye, and we know what to expect. When you see a square pupil, it throws you off your game. And I'm telling you, Eric, it was unbelievable. I wish you were there.
Oh God! You said did you kind of ask some questions? You just let it go as far as
well. I don't want to get into too much of the personal side of the story because that's hers. I don't have that permission, but. The way that she found out about it the first time was this was just 3 years ago, and she was with a friend, and he was looking at her, and he's like, "Your pupils are square," and she's like, "What?" And that's when that picture was taken, the one that she showed me on her phone, and that before that she didn't know. And they may have been going square and nobody noticed it. I don't know. She doesn't know either. And she was pretty surprised when I said to her at that moment, I said, your pupil's square. I mean, I'm 2 or 3 feet from her, and I'm looking up at her, and they were square. And it kind of blew her mind for a moment because she wasn't expecting me to say that.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah, it is.
You got any other calls on hold? I got one more quick thing to plug real fast, and I'll get off the line if you got another call.
You're going to plug something?
Well, it's not really a plug, but I know you got the CITD, right, in June.
Uh-huh.
But if anybody's able to get to Sedona, Arizona next month on the 19th and the 20th, Suzanne Ross is having another conference called Beyond the Matrix, and it's going to be phenomenal. So it's a Tuesday and a Wednesday, which is kind of odd, but I know it might be hard for some people, but I just think that if you can get out there, anybody listening to Sedona, you're going to meet some interesting people and hear some interesting stories that you don't always hear at some of these other conferences. So I just want to plug that real fast.
All right. Right on, Eric, and we'll see you at Contact in the Desert, man. Couple of months.
Oh, okay, buddy. Take care. Thanks for taking my call.
Have a good night, Eric. Eric, awakening man, right there. And he's a little under the weather. Black goo. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know what that means. Black goo. Eric, feel better. My man. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, my name is Jim. I'm a longtime fan. It's the first time I called. I can't believe I got through.
Yeah, you did get through, Jim, and you got through because I see here that you're a first-time caller. And first-time callers always go to the front of the line.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right on. What's on your mind?
I have a question for you. I can't believe I could ask you this. I was just listening to the show as usual and researching on the internet and arguing with people on message boards, and I was like, I'll call Jimmy Church and see what he thinks. Do you think UFO craft have the capability, based on their speed, physics, all that, from what you've heard, you know a million times more than me, could time travel?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah. In effect, any craft that is approaching the speed of light, and certainly achieves the speed of light or is approaching the speed of light, is time traveling. So, Jim, look at it this way. Okay, so my name is Jim, your name is Jim. So the two Jims, you and I, are on our Starship cruiser, right? And we take off from Earth. And we fly, depends on the speed and so forth. But let's just say, if you get to the speed of light, time stands still. That's a different aspect of everything. But let's say we're just getting close to the speed of light, like we're at 99% or 90%, 99%. And we take off from Earth, and we fly in one direction for a year. Okay? And at the end of that year, we make a U-turn. And now we fly at the speed of light back to Earth. Okay? Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, we get to Earth. Everybody that we know and love is dead. Why? Because it's 100 years in the future. You and I, it could be 200 years in the future, depends on how fast we were going. But you and I have only aged 2 years. Earth is 100 years. So what would we be? We would be time travelers from the past. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Now, this is stated as direct as I am speaking to you in Einstein's special relativity theory. And so when you think about it in those terms, yes, is time travel possible? Absolutely. The numbers say it is so. Okay, and that's it. Now there's another aspect to this, Jim, which is, could spaceships be a time machine. In other words, to selectively choose a date and just go there. Or you and I don't have to fly for a year and then turn around and fly back for another year and come back to Earth to time travel, but to jump on some kind of machine and go, let's go to the year, 0. Right? Let's go to let's go to 33 AD and see Jesus on the cross, right? That's another situation altogether. Also, would take a lot of energy to do that. But is going backwards in time, that's a tough one. Going into the future is easy. I just told you how easy it is to go into the future, right? Okay? Yeah. So how far in the future do you want to go? Do you want to go 10,000 years in the future? Approach the speed of light, fly a little bit longer, and then come back, and you'll be 10,000 years in the future, and you are a time traveler. But going backwards in the other direction, that's a little bit tougher. But I would say that I would say this, that if you and I did that 2-year trip, or maybe what if we did it for 10 years or 20 years? We come back and it's 5,000 years in the future. Don't you think that us in the future would have conquered time travel and time machines? Sure.
Yes, that's exactly.
Right? And so what would you and I do at 10,000 years in the future when we got back? Well, you and I would go, okay, the Earth is cool. This is pretty cool. It's 10,000 years in the future. This is amazing. Okay, now we want to go back to 2019 and hang out with our family and tell them what we just saw. I would think that's what I would want to do. I would want to be that guy, right? I would want to be that guy. Yes. So why hasn't it happened? Right? It's a very and every question that you throw out there.
Maybe it has. Maybe that's A-tip videos.
You never know. Maybe I'm a time traveler. Jim, maybe you are messing with me and you're from the future and you're just testing me right now to see what I know.
Exactly. Yes. A+, though, you passed. So.
There you go. Hey, Jim, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Portland, Oregon.
Is it snowing up there? I heard it's snowing.
We got a winter storm warning. It's supposed to kick in at like 10 o'clock. It's supposed to start snowing. But it hasn't yet. It did last night. It's kind of melted away. But
yeah, I've got a lot of friends that are posting me pictures in real time of the snow going down right now. So it looks like it's heading your direction. And it's a lot, too. I mean, it's not like a little dusting. You got some snow coming your way. Yeah, I know, right? Thank you so much,
Jim. You're lucky you're in SoCal. Thank you. This was amazing and an honor. You're so incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Don't be a stranger.
I will not. Thank you, man.
I'll talk to you. Love first-time callers. Always remember, first-time callers, front of the line. First-time caller, no matter who is on hold, front of the line. I enjoy that so much. I want to thank Barbara Lamb tonight. What an amazing conversation, and she's so bright, so honest, and so insightful, and she's got so much research that she continues to share with all of us, and she certainly did that tonight. Of course, Eric Awakening Man coming in out of nowhere. That was a surprise call. Thank you, Jim, up in Oregon. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Shows produced by Hill J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2019 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. They cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, surprise guest, I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.